Hey everybody, it's Lisa. I am sorry I'm gone. I am in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, giving a paper to a conference. So I'm hoping this works. I am using an app on my iPad called Explain Everything, and I've had some pretty good luck with it before. You may want to consider using it for yourself. You can download it for about $5, I think, maybe 12. And I uploaded the PowerPoint from class, and you can adjust it and move it and record with it, and it becomes a YouTube video, which makes it very accessible. So we're going to give this a shot. I hope this works. Again, I am sorry for kind of the inconvenience of covering really important material while we are, doing this, and I'm not even there. So anyway, let's move to some housekeeping. Okay, so there's been some confusion on how many times to post and if it's okay to post your UbD resource separate than your actual essential questions. And of course that's fine, and hopefully you guys were able to get that information, and if not, just make sure you correct it as soon as you can, because the resource that you have to post has to be original, and you have to comment on two other peers' resource. And the objective on that is so that you can be more exposed to UbD ideas and materials, and realize that this is not something that anyone gets quickly or easily. And so there's a big community of people out there that have already gone through the trouble of making templates, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, and that's good. You're also supposed to give it a shot to try to write your essential questions. And just keep in mind, we're not asking for perfection here. We want an attempt. This is all just putting our toe in the water and seeing, how this fits with us, and, kind of really getting to understanding by design. So the last thing that you probably need to know is that under the part of your week 6 discussion, it says lecture and questions, and I will try to post this video here on the discussion part, but definitely in the content part, which is kind of funny because you'll already have found it by the time if you actually can hear my voice. But answer the questions that are in the discussion thread, and they're very simple. Kind of let me have a chance to know what you're thinking and about your learning, and I would appreciate it. So that is all part of your work for week 6, and as long as you can get the lecture questions in by Sunday the 21st, that's good with me. So your posting has to stay at the regular time, due right before class period, but if you want to post the lecture questions and your answers, do it by the end of the day, Sunday, February 24th. Wait. First, Sunday, February 21st. Okay, so this is one of the things that we would cover directly in class. If you were sitting there, I would ask you to turn to the people next to you and kind of discuss what was the best designed learning experience that you've ever had. Learning experiences can occur just from every part of our life, and a lot of my memories seem to include learning experiences, but what about a designed learning experience? Can you remember a good lesson? And when you're thinking about that, what is in general true about a good design? Regardless of what the course is covering, its content, or the style of the teacher, what do we know about a good lesson design? Giving you a little bit of think time there. As you ponder these questions, as you ponder and answer these questions for yourself, think about expectations, learning activities, and assessments, because these are all inherent parts of understanding by design, and really any curriculum designing. Okay, let's just say it again. I've said it a couple of times, but I really needed to go in because this is a question on your midterm exam. Understanding by design is synonymous, aka, with the idea of backwards design. Understanding by design was designed and promoted as designing curriculum backwards. And honestly, UbD was not the first one to do it, but they were the first one to market it and to really be out there as a presence, and really have the materials to help people understand how to do it. So Wiggins and McTighe didn't come up with the idea, but they definitely figured out how to get people to use it. So understanding by design equals backward design. Okay, so there are 3 stages of backward design. You know, and you've already read something about essential questions and things like that, but this is taking it a step backwards. So if you just want to understand how backward design works, overall, this is kind of what it is. So the first stage is going to be just really to identify the desired accomplishments. Oops, can't fit it in there. Oh, my writing. So identify desired accomplishments. Hope you can kind of figure out that that says accomplishments. You know, what is supposed to happen when you're planning this design? What are you going for? The second thing, the second real stage, once you've got what you understand is the accomplishments that are supposed to come out of your curriculum. The second part of understanding by design is determining acceptable evidence. If you've got a good idea and you have an understanding of what you want the students to accomplish, how are you going to measure that to know that you've done it? Because assessment is an important part of understanding by design. It's going to really propel you forward in understanding, did I really teach what I was supposed to teach? You know, is there a level of understanding and transferability going on with these students? So understanding what your assessment measures are ahead of time and really giving that a thought is an important part of UbD. Okay, so the third step, and this is the final step, and you only get to the third step after you've done the identifying of the accomplishments and the determining acceptable evidence, your assessments. Then you get to plan the learning experiences, right? This is your instruction, and this is your activities. So, sorry, wild finger. So this is kind of what ends up happening. You get an idea for a good set of activities that you want to do, and that sort of drives your curriculum design. And understanding by design has a really strong understanding that that's typically what propelled teachers forward, and so that actually comes last. While you might still have this in your mind for your own curriculum unit, don't worry. Just put aside what those activities are and make that secondary to coming up with the first 2 stages here. And so let me repeat that one more time. Don't worry if you already know what your instruction or what your activities in your curriculum unit are going to be, or have a general idea of that. Put that aside for a while and really try to go back to the first stage and the second stage. And then your activities will fall in line and they'll become even easier to put in. It'll fit together like a puzzle. Okay, so stage 1. Okay, here's what is going to happen. This is what we're going to accomplish. All right, so establish goals. Identify 1 or more goals, and it's okay that they're content standards, course or program objectives, and learning outcomes that the design targets. All right, that can be part of your goal. Standards are not, evil. This is one of the places where they go, and it is useful. All right, really try to understand in stage 1 what understandings are desired, okay? Some people would say this when they would say students will understand that, and then you've seen this before, fill in the blank. Identify the enduring understandings based on transferable big ideas. They give the content meaning and connect the fact and skills. All right, and here, this is what we've been reading about, and here it is. What essential questions will be considered? Frame the essential questions to guide student inquiry and focus instruction for uncovering the important ideas of the content. All right. And lastly, what key knowledge and skills will students acquire as the result of these units? Students will know, students will be able to. I still have a problem with saying that. We were so taught to do that, SWBAT, swab it, and there's such a negative connotation to it. But it still helps me frame in some ways, what am I asking them to understand? What am I asking them to do? What am I asking them to know? And really separating out, these pieces. Okay, so in this part, you want to identify the key knowledge and skills we want the students to know and be able to do. The targeted knowledge and skills can be 3 different kinds. Now, I thought this was a bit confusing, so hang on with me. So what you want them to know or do can come from several different places, because knowledge and skills can be background information. It can be lots of things. So they can refer to building blocks for the desired understandings. What you want them to know or do can refer to the knowledge and skills stated or implied in the goals. Or what you want the students to know or be able to do can refer to the enabling knowledge and skills needed to perform complex assessments and tasks identified in Stage 2. My big thing about Stage 1 is write and rewrite. This is not something that happens when you sit down, think about it, and you write it down once. This is a lot like constructing a narrative. You really want to be able to write this down, erase it, go back, because I don't know about you, but I have an idea. And then when I read it all the way through again, I realize that I've gone a little off track with what I really wanted them to do. And it doesn't really fit in with what my overall goals and what I wanted to accomplish with the design. So I would say work and rework what you think you're trying to accomplish in Stage 1, and then move forward from there. Okay, we're spending a lot of time on essential questions today, and it may or may not be as useful to you as other things, and I don't want to give you the wrong impression that it's somehow more important than anything else, but understanding an essential question will drive the next phase of this forward for you. So just in general, here are some examples of a essential question. How do the arts shape as well as reflect a culture? Okay, so this can be a question for, a 3rd, 4th grade class. What would be non-essential is if you asked specifically what common artistic symbols were used by the Incas and Mayas. Okay, another example of an essential question is, what do effective problem solvers do when they get stuck? The non-essential version of that is, what steps did you follow to get your answer? I think I've seen that on a workbook page before. Okay, another example of an essential question is, who is a true friend? Non-essential would be, who is Maggie's best friend in the story? Now, the first thing you should notice is your non-essential questions are closed questions. They have answers that don't require thought, but only a kind of a regurgitation, I can't think of another word, a regurgitation of knowledge, it's just factual knowledge. It doesn't involve a real probing of any kind of understanding. And so if you ask in your design, if you know the kind of questions you're trying to ask students and trying to get them to think, your lessons reflect a deepness that they wouldn't have otherwise.